my name is Patrick and welcome back to SRL Euro League on PS4. Today we're at round 5 for the Spanish Grand Prix and hopefully this should be a good one. As you can see, the weather is quite dry today, especially for qualifying. I'm not sure about the race though. Might have to check that with the drivers. Hopefully they can update me on that. But yeah, pretty tasty. I wasn't here last week, so there was no commentary or race stream because unfortunately I lost my voice, so I couldn't really do it. But all is good now, and I should be ready to go for the rest of the season. As we see Sen go wide at turn 1 after setting the fastest lap of the race. 4:22 currently, so he's done a very good lap. But I think there's going to be a lot more time to come from all these guys. Considering, I mean, to be fair, he did do it on the hards, so that is actually a good time on the hards. But I think realistically on the hards, maybe you might want to find another 2 or 3 tenths to get the best out of it. I think a low 19 is probably the best we'll see from these guys on the hard compound tyres. Now obviously this... oh, he almost loses it. He did really well to save it there. Our strategy here should be on 1 stop if you start on the mediums or the hards, or 2 stop if you start on the soft. Yeah, it's soft because the red ones are soft. Yeah, I need to remember that. So yeah, if you're on the soft, that's going to be basically a given 2 stop. There's no way of getting around that. And then if you're on the mediums or the hard, you can get a 1 stop done. You can do about 19 laps on the hards, and the rest and the other 40 laps on the medium. As we see Sen go for another lap, is he gonna try and maybe try and improve? He looks like he's going for it. Let's see best lap. Okay, so his best lap is on the hard indeed, and I don't know how to pronounce that guy's name. I'm just gonna call him Cal. Might be easy to go in at. Cal said a 90.7, but he did it on the soft, so probably he was sandbagging a bit on that lap because I don't think anyone really wants to start on the... oh, Sen has lost it, and if you give me a moment I need to find the stream so I can send it to chat so that everyone can see, obviously. Yeah. So around this, just a moment. Just gonna set some things up in the background as well. Okay. Oh, I sound really quiet. Okay. I'll fix that in a sec. Let's go over. Okay, let's quickly sort my volume out. Okay, let's go with this. Is this much better? Or maybe actually I put the headphones over. Yeah, hopefully this is better. If it's not, then do tell me. But hopefully that should fix it. It's just the mic. Yeah, as I said, I tried to turn the volume of my microphone sensitivity up so you can hear me maybe a bit better. Yeah, it's better. Okay, good. Okay, so let's see. RJW is on a out lap. I think we can maybe go with him. Random punchline just finished the lap. He did 19.4 on the hards. I think we'll be seeing a lot from. We're going to be seeing a big improvement from him. Probably in a later run. So at the moment, all we're really waiting for is this a fast lap? It looks like a fast lap. Although, I don't know. I think he's getting ready for a fast lap. No, he's going in. Yeah, I caught just about that Renault's doing a half spin in the final sector. That's a bit awkward for him, and he just goes straight on there, as you do. Anyway, let's see RJW. He's on doing full send on this lap. He's going to take as much curving as he can on the outside and clips the inside apex perfectly, and clips the turn 2 inside apex as well pretty well. But then loses the back end through turn 3, so that's going to cost his lap. He's abandoned that already, and that was undone very quickly. The first 2 corners were done pretty well, but the rest of the lap was just a bit awful. I mean, it wasn't really a lap, it was just 3 corners. The first 2 were alright, but then the third one, for some reason, the car just lost the back end. Which is actually quite peculiar. I've never really seen anyone lose the back end in turn 3. You can obviously understeer like a lot there, but maybe he tried to counteract that by having a more oversteery setup, and maybe he just went a bit too far with that. Alright, let's see Soul Twister going on his lap. He's on the soft compound of tires. Let's see if he's going to take as much curving in the first place as RJW did. No, he doesn't. He sticks very close to the outside apex, to the outside curving. Sorry, but he doesn't lose the back end and gets pretty decent exit out of turn 3. Breaks what I would say is a bit early, but maybe he's just trying to get a decent lap in, a bit of a benchmark, which he can then try and beat later on. He's struggling to get the car turned in. That's going to cost him a bit of time, but he should still be fine. Yeah, I think he's definitely going very conservative on this lap. I think he's definitely going to have some time in it as Cal is retired from the session. It looks... Did he just give up? Potentially. This is your bogey track, mate. Well, I mean, you haven't... I haven't caught you at least spinning yet, so I caught you losing the back end, but you managed to catch it, so hopefully maybe on your later run you won't make the same mistake. But yeah. Hi Sem, how are you doing? I see you're doing pretty well, you know, provisional pole. Soul Twister does a 20.9, so yeah, you're looking quite comfortable there, Sem. I assume you're going to be coming out, maybe trying mediums as well. I think most people here are going to do their final run on the mediums, because as it's a smaller field, if you do a lap that is valid obviously, then you're going to be within the top 10, so you'll be standing on the tyres you set your time on. So most people are probably going to try doing their times on mediums and then go for medium hard strategy. But I'm interested to see, maybe someone will try starting on the hards and trying to do the counter strategy. I know it worked well for me last week in ILR, where I managed to get 7th with it. But so it can be quite effective, especially because medium runners can get stuck behind traffic really easily in the first stint. So if you can just keep with them, later on you'll have fresher tyres in them that are also softer. So from that point, it's actually quite beneficial to start on the harder tyres. Yeah. Oh, you were grabbing your phone. Okay. Let's see. You're gonna pit. Okay, so everyone's pitting now, but we're gonna be seeing everyone out shortly. All 6 remaining drivers actually. Oh, never mind. Make that 5. Yeah. Let's see. We have 5.5 minutes to go. I think for the next 2 or so minutes, we're just going to be playing the weight. Never mind, because the Williams has just come out. Now, its best lap is obviously on the hards, but let's see what's fitted to it. It is the mediums indeed, so it's not just a glitch. Yeah, let's see. Is he gonna take the... Actually, this is gonna be interesting. Let's see how he takes the outlap, because different drivers do it in different ways. Some people prefer to be much more aggressive on their tyres in the warm-up lap, which of course is good for getting temperature into your tyres in order to have them already in the window for the start of the lap. But the thing is, if you get your tyres into the operating window at the start of the lap, the chances are you might overheat them to the point where you're actually going to be losing a lot of time in the final sector. So maybe some people might prefer to go rather slowly, have a bit colder tyres, and then just heat them up throughout the lap and not lose time in the final sector. As we can see from Random Punchline, he is going rather slowly. So I would assume he's doing the latter strategy. But he's now full throttle, DRS, and overtake mode. As we come across the line to start the lap, let's see how this goes. Is he going to take all the curving he can? Oh, and the Renault's just parked it on the apex, kind of. Like, that's really going to mess his lap up. I'm surprised he hasn't backed out yet, because that's cost him at least 3 or 4 tenths, which could be crucial at the moment. And locking up is not going to help either. He's gone slightly deep into that corner, which affects his exit. He can't get on the throttle as early as he wants to. He locks up again, which once again sends him a bit deep, but he should be fine there. As he makes his way to the next corner, he takes that pretty well. No dramas here. He's going to now make his way up the hill, over turn 9, I believe. He had quite a big lift, actually. Surprisingly big lifting, especially in quali mode. But no drama so far. It's been a clean lap from him. Now let's see, does he get caught out by that curve? No, he doesn't. He does very well. Just clips that curve, because you got to stay away from that curve, basically. That curve can absolutely kill your lap. And as we make our way across the final chicane, now you see with the final chicane, especially the second bit, you can attack it quite a lot, because the game doesn't invalidate your lap unless you significantly cut it. But he didn't. And as a result, I mean, it wasn't a bad lap, it was actually quite a clean lap. But that first corner, and maybe being a bit too cautious in those final few corners, just cost him the time. The time needed maybe to snatch P2. That was... The Renault driver he's just used up all his ERS. I'm not quite sure what he's doing. Because he's not set a time, but he's using his ERS up, and he's not going to be able to actually go anywhere with it. Oh, okay. I should not be encouraging the abuse of track limits then, never mind. I mean, still, it was kind of conservative, the way he took it. He was well within the lines, may I just say. I personally would have tried to attack it a bit more, but, you know, if they want to play it safe, I gotta respect that. Yeah. Now, this really does confuse you. Oh, consistent abuse, yeah. I mean, hopefully they won't abuse it consistently. I mean, but these drivers will obviously, you know, try their best to gain every advantage they can. Is he just trying to set a lap? Because he's going to set a lap on the super soft. It's a 22.9. I'm not quite sure what he's doing there. Now, RJW is going to be the first one on a flying lap. He's going to have one shot at this. He's on the mediums. Let's see what he can do. Both RJW and Sem are on mediums. And realistically, they're the only ones that have a chance of pole. So let's see as RJW starts his lap, going up to almost 330 kilometers per hour into turn 1. Does that beautifully, takes a lot of curve in there actually. That's quite brave from him, but that gives him quite a good line through turn 3. No dramas this time. Sticks it quite, like cuts turn 4 quite a lot. I mean, inside quite a lot. Sorry, my bad. There's no dramas there. Oh, big lock up there. That's going to cost him a lot of time. Let's see if he can maybe try and recover some time. Maybe he's going to start and overdrive this car now, because I was giving up the lap. I think he was validated there. So let's go on board with Sam. Much cleaner exit out of there. No locking up, no nothing. And let's see. No dramas once again. Oh, bit of oversteer off the exit. But much cleaner than RJW, and didn't cut the corner. That's more like it. No, a lot less lifting there through turn 9 as he goes into the hairpin of turn 10. That's also done very neatly. He takes a lot more curbing than the Williams did, as you can see. So far, it's looking very good. I think he's going to be on pole no matter what, really. There's no one else out there challenging his time, so is this... I don't know how many pole of his, but I believe it is. It's an 18.4. What a lap. Absolutely sensational lap there from Sam in the Ferrari. Awesome stuff. Now we're just waiting for the Renault to come across the line. The fun fact, Renault is the only team to have both drivers here, I believe. So that should do them good in the constructors, I guess. Ivane had 2 track limits and 1 spin. Yikes. Well, you say that, but I mean, you're still in P4, you're in with a chance of winning, and you're on the hard, so you can always try the counter strategy at RJW, mate. But as you can see, the standings are Sam in first place in the Ferrari, followed by Cal in the Mercedes in second, Random, sorry, in the Random in the Mercedes in third, and followed by RJW in the McLaren in fourth. Fifth was Soul Twister, I believe, and then sixth was the other Renault the other Renault of Crumping Kano. Yeah, and then Ivane was 7th. So he'll be starting from the back, but I don't think he set a time. So he has free choice of tires, I believe. Oh, hello there, Julian. How are you doing? You ready to see some top quality action? RIP PC Europe. Well then, these lot better deliver then, because they have a lot to live up to then, I guess. Also, Sam has just said that there is no rain, which I mean is obvious, but it's guessing from what he said, it seems like there's not going to be rain even later on. But anyway, to the formation lap. Let's see the starting tires of all the drivers. So we have Sam in the Ferrari, who's starting on pole position on the medium compound of tyre, and then we have Cal behind him in second, but he's going to be starting on the super soft tyre, so he's forced in a 2-stop. However, if he gets a good start, which should be easier on the softer compound of tyres, he could potentially jump Sam for P2. And then he's followed up by Random Punchline, who's also on the medium, so he'll be just looking to outplay Cal on strategy and just hope that maybe Sam gets held up. He'll be hoping that Sam gets held up by the Mercedes in front of him. Then RJW and Soul Twister have both taken themselves out of the formation lap, but RJW is going to be starting on the mediums. He'll just be hoping that he can keep up the pace with the front runners, because if he can, he's going to put him in a good position for the win later on. This race will eventually come back to him, so he'll need to be patient with it. And then Soul Twister is on the soft as well, so he'll be on the 2-stop along with his teammate, who's I don't know, he's not really been near the pace of the front guys, so especially with the 2-stop he might struggle a bit. Maybe a safety car might be able to help him. And then let's see, the final car, Ivane on the medians in the racing point, and now just wait for number 75, that Pink Panther car, to line up on the grid. And he's just about there as we slowly but surely make our way to the 5 red lights here in Spain. Let's go for the Spanish Grand Prix, and it looks like it's been a good start for Sem, so he's going to be keeping first place unless Cal's going to make a massive dive bomb, but I would not suspect that he would do that. I think everyone's going to try and take it quite risky to the opening lap, and so far something's happened. Because of the awful cameras at the start, I kind of had to go into TCam mode, and it seems like I missed some contact between the two Renaults, which is kind of unfortunate. Saltister seems to be missing his front wing, I think. Or did he get away with no damage? Maybe he did. Anyway, let's see. Here's the chase, I guess, for what seems like P3 at the moment. As everyone makes it through okay so far. Let's see. Nothing's gone wrong so far. The two Renaults... Oh! Saltwister has lost it. He's out of the session. And is his Renault teammate going to go after him? Yes, he almost is. But he just about goes around. So let's see. RJW might... probably made a mistake there, because... if they just... made up so many... he made up 3 positions on the start, which is very impressive actually. Fair play for him in the racing point. Now hopefully he's gonna have the pace to keep up with Random Punchline and Sem, who's are gonna be his 2 main competitors, considering they're on the same tyres as him. But even if he doesn't, as long as he keeps RJW behind, it does put him in a good position to score some good points. And considering that Cal is most likely on the 2-stop... oh! But that's Cal out of the session already! He's just gone a bit wide, clipped the grass, and no matter how sticky your tyres are, if you clip the grass there, you're going so fast that you may as well just give up there and then. You're going straight to the scene of the accident, and that's him out. Promoting Random Punchline to P2. And actually, not for long though, because Yvain has just made a great pass into turn 10 on the Williams driver, and he is now up into P2 from the back of the grid. That's great stuff from the Racing Point driver. Now if you could teach me how to do that in the Racing Point, that would be great, because I would really need his advice on that. But yeah, he's doing very well so far. Sam has just basically checked out already. We've already done 2 laps, but he's already 2.6 seconds ahead. I think it will be more of a question of damage limitation. What am I on about? But also, Random Punchline is just dropping back. Is something wrong with the Williams? It doesn't seem like it. He looks like he has his front wing intact. Maybe this is just his true pace coming through at the moment. Maybe he's struggling a bit more with tyres or something, because everyone has just gotten past him in the first... no, not everyone. 2 people have gotten past him in the space of half a lap. So maybe it's not that big of a deal, but he's looking a bit in trouble. Although he is keeping the pace with the McLaren, so hopefully he can at least stick with them. But we'll see. Meanwhile, the Racing Point has also kind of just ran off at this point from Yvain, but he will kind of have to, because as I said on the warm-up lap before, when I was talking about RJW in the McLaren, that the race will come back to him, because he's the only driver on the hard compound tyres. So at the moment, Yvain has to make the most of the pace advantage of the mediums in order to get away from RJW, and by a sufficient gap that RJW, so that later on, when RJW is on the softs and he's on the hards, he won't be caught up by him. As you can see, Random Punchline is sticking with the McLaren actually pretty well, so maybe it was just a potential mistake or something. But so far, looking good. Sam is keeping the gap quite consistent there. It's around 2.5, 2.6 seconds. So, but the question is Sam pushing right now? Or does he know that he basically already might have this in the bag and is just trying to maintain the gap manages tyres, manages fuel, manages ERS, so that in case something does happen, so let's say a safety car or even a VSC, or just the fact that Yvain suddenly starts pulling on him, he'll have the resources to fight that. But actually, it looks like Yvain is just straight up gaining on him. So he's currently closing the gap by half a second in like the last half a lap. So maybe it looks like Yvain might just have the pace advantage at the moment. And RJW has really dropped back, but the Williams is currently stuck right behind him. I think it's really going to hurt the Williams' race at the moment because he has to get past the McLaren. The McLaren is on tyres that, if I remember well, have a tyre delta of about 0.8 of a second. So every lap he sticks behind him, that's at least 0.8 of a second that he's losing out on. And in the long run, that's going to hurt him, especially because if he stays behind him in the second stint, he'll be on the hards, and the McLaren of RJW will be on the mediums, which means that the tyre difference will swing the other way, and then the McLaren will have the 0.8 space advantage, and as he'll be ahead, he'll be able to make the most of it, and he'll just pull away. I mean, oh, it looks like I might have jinxed that, because Yvain has just dropped back to 2.5 seconds again. I think Sam might just be managing the gap. I mean, he looks so in control. Let's have a look on board with him. As you can see, yeah, no dramas here for him at all. He's in mode 2 ERS, so he's not pushing that hard on the straights. He's using ERS quite wisely and quite sparingly, actually, especially on the straights. But yeah. Let's see. He takes it very cleanly, but he's going to go a bit wide. Oh, he was wise that I think he saw that the Mercedes behind him spun out in the exact same position. So he'd probably seen that and thought to himself, let's not risk a DNF from P1, and just back down a bit from the throttle when he went on the grass. Like, that's exactly what you have to do. This just shows how, I guess, comfortable he might be, because generally in those situations it's very simple to just lose your mind and just do the wrong thing. And I'm talking like fractionally do the wrong thing. So I'm talking like lifting off the throttle just a little bit too little, or just going a bit too wide, or something like that. Like, the margins are so finite when you're racing, especially when you're at the front, because the pressure's on you, really. Like, the others have nothing to lose compared to you, because you're leading, it's your win, and like, all they're trying to do, especially Ivan at the moment, is really just try and put the pressure on the Ferrari. And as long as the Ferrari doesn't buckle under pressure, he should probably sail to victory. But it looks like currently Yvain is keeping him honest. As we see the McLaren and the Williams still racing around, and the Renault is on a mad one. I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. But let's see. Has he had one stop? Yes, he has had one stop, but I'm not sure how he's already a lap down. We're 7 laps. Oh. Well then, I think, yeah, the Renault's just having a nightmare. And he's got a 10-second time penalty for that, as the Williams just goes a bit wide, loses the back end, but manages to catch it in time. Let's see. Let's see what you guys also have said. Yuri says he needs to practice more. Well, maybe, but so far it's looking rather good. However, someone you might need to practice some, let's just say risky moves or overtakes, you know? Especially around a track like Spain, where overtaking is quite tricky already, is this man in the Williams. Random Punchline is currently in, let's face it, an awful situation. He's struggling with the dirty air and he can't really make a move on this McLaren still, even though he knows perfectly well that he desperately needs to get past. He's just about in DRS range, I think. He's 3 tenths within it. So, the best he can do is probably just try and save fuel and tyres, try and go as long as he can, and try with using as little ERS and fuel as possible, and then give it his all in the second stint. Maybe try and undercut to get past the McLaren, and then once he's past it, use the fuel and ERS that he did save up to potentially just try and keep the McLaren behind. Now, obviously it will be tricky, but it's definitely doable. You see. Also, what's interesting to note is Random Punchline doesn't go as wide on entry as the McLaren does. It just shows that maybe the Williams driver isn't as comfortable with the curbing, or maybe he's just not as comfortable with the so-called esports lines around tracks like this, where you got to take as much curbing as you can, especially where you're allowed to. So, like for instance, at the previous corner, you can take so much more curbing on the exit than he does, but he chooses not to. It could be things like those that make the difference between not being fast enough to have a look past the McLaren and being fast enough to have a look. However, he is keeping the gap quite consistent, so it's not looking bad. It's not looking good, but it's not looking. It could be worse. He could be dropping back. But I think as long as he keeps the tyres alive, he should kind of be fine still. Of course, IJW can go for 20 laps on those tyres easily, but I have a suspicion he might not be. I think he might try and do an early switch to softs, mediums, and try and utilise that. But look at this, the Williams driver was thinking about a dive bomb there surely, but chose not to in the end. I personally would have just tried it for the hell of it, but then he gets hit by the dirty air and he goes wide. I think that might be a warning for him, because you know, the F1 game doesn't really like you going wide at turn 3, even though it uses you a ton of time. Yeah. Meanwhile, we see the struggling Renault. I'm really not sure what this Renault is doing. Like, honestly, you're 10 laps in, 2 laps down. Yeah. Hopefully it's just a one-off or something. Maybe he might be a wheel driver and his wheel broke, so he might be currently forced to get used to driving on a pad or something. I'm not sure. Hopefully he can find some rhythm by the end of the race. Would be great to see that. Even if he's a few laps down, just seeing him on pace with the others would be decent already. And as we see, RJW is now starting to pull away. I think maybe Random Punchline wasn't saving his tyres as well as he maybe should have been by the end. As you can see, he's clearly not in a position to make a dive or on the McLaren already. So he's slowly but surely dropping back, and this might not end well for the Williams driver. I mean, don't get me wrong. Even if he does finish where he is right now, which is the most likely position, I think, that's still 4th place and 12 points. However, that's half of what Sem is getting, and 2/3 of what Ivan's getting, who's keeping good pace with the Ferrari of Sem. So later on, this could get spicy, you know, the Ferrari versus Racing Point battle. We've got to check that out later at some point, you know. Hopefully something comes to fruition of that. Although last time I mentioned that something about that battle, Ivan dropped back half a second after that. So maybe let's not mention that until something does come of it. So until then, let's stay on board with the Williams driver. Let's look at some, actually not, maybe not cinematic shots, but we can have a look at some off-board footage. I have to say, this game does look very good. And the McLaren, and actually the Williams to a certain point, to a certain extent, do look good as well. Although, out of all of these, I think the best looking car has to be this one. The Ferrari with that matte red and black accent is just perfect in my opinion. And I know this might be unpopular, but even the Racing Point, I quite like it. Now obviously, not the entire livery. The entire livery isn't perfect. There are some things I would change, but it does look very good in my opinion. And the McLaren as well, looks pretty good. Shame that it's so like barren of sponsors, but you know, sometimes simplicity is better. And here we are. And I mean the Williams, it's just kind of grown on me. Maybe not quite the fade, or like how they did it. How they did the entire like fade from blue to white. I think that could have been done better. But overall, it does look pretty good, I think. Although that definitely puts me in the overwhelming minority. So, yeah. 13 laps in. We had a bit of action in the opening few laps, but I think it's all calmed down a bit now. We should be seeing the medium runners pit either this lap or next lap, really. Because this is roughly when the pit window opens for medium runners. So let's see, will Ivan try an undercut? I think if I was Ivan, I would do the opposite of what Sam does. He's in a position where he's within 1.8 seconds, so with a really good lap, he could pull either one of them off. Especially if his mediums are still in good condition. Which they look to be, because he's not having any like dramas anywhere. And he seems to be gaining just a bit, so I think he's finally turned everything up a bit. Maybe using a bit more fuel, a bit more ERS here and there. Maybe a bit more tyres as well. He's just trying to get, I think, the most out of it, and he seems to be doing that exactly as he wants to, as he does something he should not be doing. But he's chosen to follow the Ferrari, yeah. You see, that's not what I would have done. That's an interesting call from him. I personally would have waited. I would have stayed out for the overcut and just tried it. You're in a position where you, worst case scenario, all that happens is you lose a bit of time in first place, but he would not have lost any position, but he could have gotten close enough to maybe have a go at gaining a position afterwards. So I don't know. And he's lost a second to the Ferrari, so I think that's not gone too well for him. The Williams is also pitted. And now it's time for RG to just put the hammer down. Do as many fast laps as he can. Then in about 5-6 laps, maybe 7, depending on how far he wants to push it, he can come in, put on the mediums, and then just go to the end of the race. And he's going to be one to watch, because I think Random Punchline, obviously pitting earlier, is going to get past him. He's currently on much fresher hards, but then once he pits for the mediums, he is going to be significantly faster, and so he's going to breeze past the Williams in my opinion, and then maybe try and hunt down the Racing Point. Who knows? I mean, this is a track where traffic is very important, but because we have 5 runners, traffic isn't going to actually be that big of an issue, especially when you have a massive pace advantage over the rest of the competition. But yeah, it could be interesting to see if that alternate strategy works for him. I don't want to jinx it, but he has a very good chance, I think. But of course, this man has looked in control all along. I think he's just managing the gap to the Racing Point. Racing Point doesn't really have an answer to anything extra so far that the Ferrari has thrown at him. All that extra pace. I think the Ferrari's kind of looks like he's just taking it comfortably. You know, really smooth throughout every corner, every lap. No, he's not really made a mistake. The only mistake he did do was go wide twice at turn 4. And nothing happened of that, so he looks totally in control. Yeah. But the Racing Point is furiously chasing him down now. It's gone from 2.6 second gap to just 1.2 seconds as we cross the line. Maybe we might see something here. And I mean, they're both gaining on the McLaren, slowly but surely, yes. However, is it going to be enough? I mean, the McLaren will, once he pits, come out way behind them. But it's going to be interesting to see where both him and the Williams actually come out in the end of all this. Yeah. Let's go on board with the Racing Point car. See how he takes this course. And what he's doing to start gaining so much time on the leader. Well, on the real race leader. And after all the stops are there, obviously. Takes a very good line through that penultimate bit. And even the chicane, they both take very aggressive lines there. Not cutting the corner, obviously. I'm going to just point out they're not cutting the corner, but they're definitely making the most of the track. And he's within DRS, he's within that slipstream, he is absolutely on it at the moment, and Sem is actually now under a bit of, like, a lot more pressure, because the Racing Point is clearly faster at the moment. Maybe the Racing Point might have just changed something during the pit stop, because, I mean, he did get held up in the pits, but that was probably because he missed the clutch off the pit box. But maybe he got something changed. Maybe he got a wing adjustment, or maybe he changed something with the brake bias or the differential to just give him a bit better performance on the hards than the mediums. Or maybe that's how his setup worked in the first place. But he's really on that Ferrari at the moment, and Sam is under insane pressure. And I have to say, the pace difference is substantial enough for him to actually be able to make a move. Although having said that, he's just had a messy corner there as he goes into the chicane. Is he going to try and cut it a lot? No, he's not, but he got cut off a bit by that Ferrari, so that's going to hurt his momentum. However, the Ferrari has now got a time penalty, a 3-second time penalty, which puts Evane in the actual race lead. So at this point, all he really has to do is keep it clean, so no more penalties for him, and just stick behind him. If he's within 3 seconds, he's going to be fine. And this could also play into the hand of the McLaren, who is currently 7 seconds ahead of them, still due to make a stop, but will be on the faster tyre once he does so. Meanwhile, the Renault is causing yellow flags again. Funnily enough, it's the yellow car causing yellow flags. Anyway, let's go back on board. Ivan has now dropped back though. Maybe that was a bit of a charge from him, and I think he's run out of juice and everything. So he's gonna sit back for a bit, charge the batteries up, and probably go again. Or at least that's what I would do. I personally would have charged the batteries up on the straight, because I got DRS, so I already got a speed advantage. So why not, rather than trying to make use of that speed advantage and gain on someone who I won't be able to make a move on, just keep the pace with them and save a bit of fuel. Meanwhile, RJW Videos has now come into the pits and fitted the medium compound tyre, and he will be out on track. Let's see where the Williams is. The Williams has well and truly been overcut, big time. The Williams is, unfortunately, it's not quite worked for him. I expected him to be able to maybe overtake RJW purely because he pitted, well, 5 laps earlier. But it doesn't seem to be the case, and that's the Renault off again. But this puts the Ferrari back in the lead, and the Racing Point is kind of back with him, but he's using his ERS really aggressively. He's using a lot of ERS. He's not really harvesting that much. So he needs to be careful of that, because once he starts dropping below 10%, and you're playing a very risky game there, because you already start losing ERS performance, but also at that point you're in territory where you will be running out at any point. So if there is a sudden opportunity, you won't have the energy to actually try and pounce on that opportunity. But he is quite clever. He's in the DRS, he's in the slipstream, and he's not using any ERS to try and save some. That's quite a clever move. He saw it was not close enough, but he also saw that he got the DRS, he got the slipstream, so he was still gaining on him. But rather than trying to gain monumentously and still not be able to make a clean overtake on him, why not just save a bit of ERS and just, you know, use it a bit later when he's in a much better position to attack. As you can see, he's currently just mode 1, mode 0 for most of the lap. Okay, RJW, just keeping a note on the gap to the McLaren driver. It's currently 12.9 seconds, 13 seconds I would say. And let's see, he's getting a bit, but let's see. Look at that confidence. He is absolutely on the rails in that McLaren, especially through that tricky turn 9. That corner is lethal, especially if you go really hard on your tyres in the first few laps. So it's something he'll have to be careful with, because the last thing you want is cooking your tyres in the first few laps and then having to struggle for the next 10 or so laps to bring the car home in a position where you didn't expect to finish, and losing a lot of time because you killed your tyres in the first stint. But what he has done now actually is just done the fastest lap of the race, which is an extra point, so I guess he'll take it happily. Bumps him up from 15 to 16 points, but I think what he'll be eyeing is that P2. And once it's P2, I think you can definitely go for first place as well. But the question is he gaining enough? I don't think he is. But if he turns the pace up a bit, he might just about be able to catch up with the Racing Point and the Ferrari at the front. Will be interesting to see if that will actually come to fruition. And that's really risky there. The exit curbs, while it's alright if you take the curbs with one side of your tyres on one side of the curb and then the other set on the other side, but if you actually have one half of your car on the actual curbs, that's going to make it really difficult to exit. So you want to be careful with that. It does kind of make throttle application a lot more difficult, because obviously there's less grip on the curb, so you'll be more likely to spin. But also that curb at turn 2, the inside curb, is also one that you probably wouldn't want to touch. Like, clipping it ever so slightly is already enough to send you spinning around, or even if not spinning, just like help the back end step out, which can cost you a lot of time, especially in such an intense battle where you're hunting down the leading car lap after lap after lap. And now RJ is dropping back, so I don't think he'll be catching them unless some miracle happens, but I don't think it will. Let's go on board. Let's see. Let's see where maybe he can gain some time and where he's maybe excelling at the moment. That's pretty clean. I think, I don't know, that corner has two lines. You can either go in slow and just keep hugging the inside curb and then get a decent exit, or you can launch it in, go deep, and then take a late apex and exit like that. What you would mostly assume to be a wet line, but they both work and they're both actually similar pace-wise. So it's mostly just a matter of personal preference, really. However, yeah, that's looking pretty good. Maybe he could take a bit more curb in there, but it's looking very good and clean from him. Well, except that lock-up, but yeah. Alright, the racing point is dropping back a lot. I mean, not a lot, but he's there or thereabouts. Like, he's doing enough to certainly make the Ferrari feel the pressure. But I have a feeling maybe he's just saving. Maybe he's just there hoping for a mistake from the Ferrari. He's just there praying that the Ferrari isn't saving his ERS. Like, he's not saving his ERS anymore, never mind. But yeah, the Ferrari looks to me in very comfortable position. As you can see, he has half his ERS still intact. And he isn't even using it because he's currently 1.2 seconds ahead. If the Racing Point wants to win, I think his best opportunity is to just keep his car there. Keep his car in the mirrors, hope for a mistake, and when he drops it somewhere, just slide it up the inside or something like that. And for the Williams, unfortunately, it's really not gone well. It's all gone downhill after getting overtaken by both the Racing Point and the McLaren. Being stuck behind that McLaren, I did say it's going to hurt him, and it really has. He's currently 15 seconds behind the car that he came out, just 2 or 3 seconds behind when the McLaren pitted. So he lost about 12 or 13 seconds in the last 5 or 6 laps. 6 laps, yeah, 6 laps, my bad. So yeah, he's not doing... It's not really him, like, he's doing decent. His lap times are... I mean, if I check... Let's see. Yeah, his lap times are... They're not spectacular, but they're alright. Like, maybe, like, the last 3 laps weren't great, but... They're not the worst lap times on average. And, that's all that matters, really. But... Still, like, the fact that he's on older, harder tyres isn't going to do him any favours. And also, I did see, but I just wanted to finish saying that, this man, the Racing Point driver, who had the win basically in the bag, all he had to do was just follow the Ferrari home. Because the Ferrari had a 3-second time penalty, and he didn't. However, he now has a time penalty as well. So this will be an absolute lap after lap time trial in many ways to see who can get to the finish line first, because whoever will is going to be the winner. That has given Sam an absolute lifeline because he was not able to pull away from the Racing Point. Like, he might have been faster. He might have more pace overall, but over the course of many laps, the Racing Point and him are very equal pace-wise, and he, with this time penalty, would have needed to pull out 3 seconds to win, but now he doesn't. He should be good. Like, now if Ivan needs to make the move, he needs to get past the Ferrari, but he doesn't seem to be able to do that. In fact, the Ferrari is now very much pulling away. It's not really what he wants to see. what he wants to be seeing is that beautiful red behind of the Ferrari, because that means he would be in with an opportunity to win this race, which is exactly what he would want to do. I mean, what a race it would be if he could win after starting last. I see how Jay had a bit of time to even post a comment. Yeah, I mean, the median, I don't know. For me, the medians, when I used them, they were about 8/10 faster for me, which is what the deltas say. So I don't know. Maybe you might have been a bit too hard on them at the start or something, or maybe you just extracted the ultimate lap from the hards. I'm not sure. That's peculiar. I'm sure you can find a bit more pace there, because I feel like if you've only gone 2/10 faster, there's probably a bit more time in that medium lap. I mean, you still have fastest lap, and it's probably not going to be challenged by anyone, unless the Williams chooses to pit, which isn't totally impossible. In fact, if I was the Williams, I would try and pit, because the driver behind him is about 3.5 laps down, so he's definitely not going to lose any position. But in fact, what he would do is potentially gain a point. Maybe not now, but like in a few laps time I would pit and try and go for a fastest lap. Also, actually, let's check the race director. So he has 1 penalty and 1 warning. He has 1 penalty and 1 warning as well, I believe. And RGW has 2 warnings. Random Punchline has no warning whatsoever. That's actually impressive, you know. He's managed to keep it clean all race long. Fair play to him. He got unfortunate by getting stuck behind cars on slower tyres, but that's what you got to do, you know. As long as you don't exceed track limits or anything, generally speaking, good things will come to you. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this week, but maybe next time, you know. And meanwhile, the Ferrari has absolutely just pulled away, and I don't know what the Renault's doing, but if he wants to coast around really slowly and risk the other drivers' race, then go ahead. So lap 28, 5 laps to go after this. I think Ivan needs to try and start pulling something out the back, because he's let the Ferrari run away to a gap of 3 seconds, and unless he does anything immediately, and no, he doesn't. I was gonna say, if he does something, if he can do something ASAP, then he would bring him back into the running. However, that penalty that he's just gotten, his second 3-second time penalty, bringing his total up to 6, which compared to Sem's 3 seconds is obviously more. So not only would he need to pass the Ferrari, he would also need to build a 3-second gap, and that would mean gaining about 6.5, 7 seconds, I would say, overall, to be safe. 7-second gap on the Ferrari to win the race, and I just don't see that happening. That would require him to be over a second and a half faster, like almost a second and a half faster, and that just won't happen. So yeah, that's all of a sudden relieved all the pressure from the Ferrari driver after being hunted by second place, while also having 3 second more penalties than the driver behind him. The pendulum has swung, and it has swung in favour of Ferrari. Who would have thought that for once Ferrari were getting lucky? Actually, I guess you could call it the Ferrari International Assistance. That's an awful joke that I should never have brought up. Never mind. Anyway, Senna's also just done the fastest lap of the race, which is peculiar because he's done it on give me a second. He's done it on 16 lap old hard tyres, and as you can see, RJW is coming into the pits to fit the soft compact tyres on to try and go for fastest lap, and so has Random Punchline, who's just done the exact same thing. He's going to go for fastest lap because, you know, why not? They have nothing to lose, so what's the risk? As you can see, overall, yeah. That's not doing well, is he? That Renault's gonna get in the way soon. Hopefully he's aware and gets out of the way. I mean, he didn't really get out of the way, he just lost it through the chicane, so... But it doesn't matter, like, he didn't hold up Ivan, so that's all that really matters, really. And now Ivan's done the fastest lap. All of a sudden, those two front runners have gained significant pace, but I think at the end of the day, the fastest lap will be with these two. It will be a face-off between RJW and Random Punchline. Low fuel, relatively high ERS for both. In fact, RJW's ERS is on the full, and he's taking it like a proper qualifying. Like, he's even slowed down before the chicane. He's got the perfect exit, and we're going to go on board with him to see if he can get the fastest lap of the race. Let's see this. He's going up to about 310, probably going to hit 315 before he breaks. Just misses on 315, but he clips the apex perfectly through 1 and through 2 as turn 2 as well. Then he takes a perfect line through turn 3, lifts off just slightly in order to make it through turn 3. Then turn 4 comes at him quite quickly. Has a decent exit out of turn 4 into turn 5, has a bit of a lockup. That's going to hurt him out of the exit. And down to turn 6 and turn 7. And turn 7 now, let's see, he absolutely nails the curbs, and through turn 8 as well, which is just the exit of turn 7 really. Turn 9, he lifts up a bit, but is looking very good through there. Let's see, he's 1.5 seconds faster, as he nails the hairpin as well. Absolutely great lap from him so far. He goes just wide, just clips the exit curve perfectly. Now this is where you can make or break the lap. He stays well clear of the first curve, but then absolutely attacks the second curve really aggressively and does a 19.4. What a great lap. That's, I believe, 1.2 seconds faster than what the Williams did on the same tyre, only just a bit later. Let's see if the Williams has some sort of response. It doesn't seem like it. Not going for it, that's for sure. And I mean, how's he not been disqualified? Like, I've seen so many penalties from him. I'm surprised he hasn't yet. And Random Punchline is already dropping off pace-wise. Unbelievable. The softs only really last one lap. They really do. You wouldn't expect it, to be fair. But yeah. What's happened here? Something must have happened, because the racing point has just dropped 13 seconds behind. Are his tyres dropping off something? I don't know. I wouldn't say his tyres are dropping off. I think he's just taking it very slowly up. But he's losing a lot of time just through the corners. I think he might have wing damage actually. Yes, he has. He's lost his wing. Somewhere he must have lost his wing. I don't know where he lost it. He's going to have to be careful now to bring it back home. He has plenty of... He has a big enough gap behind to not worry about anything. But he needs to be careful to not bin it now, because if he bins it now, all that hard work for nothing, that would be a massive shame. and he's not binned it, so fair play to him. But we're going to go on board with the Ferrari. He's coming through the chicane for the final time as he exits it beautifully for the final time and onto the straight. Let's see it going. He's come across the line to win the Spanish Grand Prix in SLR PS4 Europe. I believe that is his, well, manyth win, I would say. But superb performance from him once again. Held off the pressure from the Racing Point super well. Even when everything was against him, with this penalty, with the Racing Point being faster and chasing him down, it all went. Despite it all going against him, despite it all going against him at that moment, he still pulled through to get another win. And let's not forget that obviously the Racing Point did start from 7th, so finishing 2nd was a superb effort, and especially after just getting through everything in lap 1. And RJW obviously comes across the line to finish 3rd. He's, as you could see by him smashing his car into the barrier, he's probably a bit annoyed by that performance. I think he's probably expecting a bit more, but let's be real, 3rd place is all you could do. The pace of the other teams seemed to just be a bit better than his, unfortunately, so he was not really going to be able to keep up with them. So here we go, the top 3. 2 Dutch guys on the podium, followed by 1 Britishman, 1 Brit, sorry, and yeah, that's it. So Sam finishes first in the Ferrari, and then followed by Ivan 2nd in the Racing Point, then RJW 3rd in the McLaren, then Random Punchline 4th in the Williams. Cal finished 5th in the Mercedes. That's the first of the DNFs. Saltwist is the 2nd DNF in the Renault, and Crumping Kano in the Renault got disqualified after just getting a lot of penalties, really. So yeah, wasn't really great performance by him. Yeah. Yes, Sam, congratulations. Epic win, mate. Held off the pressure really well, as I said. Anyway, that's been me for today. Thank you very much for joining us for SRL PS4 Europe. I've been Noah Patrick, and I hope to see you next week.